Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. I think I got the pronunciation right, but hey everybody. So I'm going to be covering two episodes because I couldn't do it last week. My schedule so full, so much stuff to do. I'm even behind on just this week's reviews, and I'm also going to make one for Reincarnated as a Slime, but it's just I'm trying to go through it as quickly as I can. But first, Tsukimichi, we got two episodes to talk about. So first, I want to just quickly talk about my history with the series. This one was interesting because turns out I had read the light novel for it, or the web novel for it, a very long time ago. I did enjoy the web novel, but I just kind of got, I think, annoyed at something, and then I stopped reading it. I don't recall what I got annoyed at. But I do have a little bit of that history with this series, which I thought was pretty funny when I came in to watch it. One thing I will say is, like, when I was reading it in the light novel, I didn't expect it as I didn't expect the main character to look as boyish, as like more light-hearted anime when I was reading it. But overall, happy to be here, happy to see that it got an anime. I'm happy whenever anything that I've read gets an anime, and yeah. We're going to go through the episodes and talk about it, and if I have time in the future, maybe make some bonus content for it, maybe some comparisons, because I do think one thing I'm noticing in the episodes, it feels like it's kind of brisk, feels like there might be a few things that were skipped. When I'm thinking back on my experience with my memories of the novel, I feel like I disliked the goddess more, but in this situation, like that connection, it ain't fully there for me. I feel like I was angrier at the goddess in the light novel than I am here in the anime, but that might also be me misremembering. Also, it's been years, so I might be a different person than I was back then, and who knows what that's gonna do. Anyway, let's go a quick recap for episode 1, just to make sure you know what I'm gonna be thinking about. Episode 1 featured, God, I'm always so bad with these names when there's so many isekais going on. Makoto, I think his name is Makoto. Yeah, but we got the introduction from Makoto. We met Tsukuyomi, which I think Tsukuyomi was so cool in the novel, and Tsukuyomi is really like the best bro in the world, I honestly believe. Anyway, we had Tsukuyomi, and he's one of the people behind Makoto's powers in this situation, but we get to that later. We met the goddess. We know that the goddess is a dick, sends him to the wastelands, doesn't want him getting involved with any of the humans, blah blah blah. We then have him in the wasteland. He meets Emma, a orc. We find out about the whole situation with the orcs. We find out that she's being sacrificed. We go to deal with Shen after he learns some magic. We find out that it was actually another race that was taking advantage of Shen's power and getting the sacrifice instead of Shen. We then have the confrontation with Shen where he takes her down, and they do the whole contract thing where Shen takes human form. That's a really quick recap. When it comes down to it on that first episode, I think my biggest complaint really is just how quick it was. There's just something that feels not fully there. Like, I'm just not getting that impact. Mind you, like, light novels by design have more impact since you're kind of spending more time on each page and you spend more time with each scene. So it might not be fair to actually criticize it on that. For all I know, it might have the same kind of pace that the anime episode showed. But given it's an adaptation, I'd expect like there's maybe like a few extra points that were ignored, because that's pretty normal. In terms of what I really liked with this isekai, I enjoyed the idea that his parents were from from the other universe. I enjoyed the idea of a deal between gods. I liked how Tsukuyomi was talking about his own power and all that, and how he was waning, or just giving us a rationale behind why he could help him and why he couldn't help him more. I liked also the main character had that moment where he talked about his sisters. He loves his sisters. We can kind of see that from the ending and maybe in the opening as well. But we know that the main character likes his sisters, and I do like that familial aspect in it. And I did like the mechanism of him being stronger because gravity is different in the other world. Overall, if I was watching that first episode blind, the things that would be interesting to me, maybe not really the dick goddess. There's been a recent surge in isekais with questionable gods, so that's why that one isn't that surprising for me right now. But I did enjoy, Tsukuyomi, and I think I did enjoy just the character caring about his sisters and a little bit of the powers being talked about. Those were probably the points I enjoyed. Oh, there was a big gag with Emma being an orc. I think it was more pronounced in the light novel, but when it comes to Emma, I actually like it's a very unattractive kind of main female, and I like the little bit of jokes that we got for that. I thought that's definitely one of those little things that does something different. But if I was to talk about what exactly I would criticize the first episode on, I think it's just the pacing. Otherwise, pretty nice start. One thing too is it's just the thing that throws me off is the art style on the main character. Kind of wish he looked a little bit more serious, but this might be like a lighthearted type show, so you know, why complain in that regard? That's just a personal. That wouldn't take any points away. That's just letting you know my personal taste right now. We go into episode 2 though. So a quick recap for episode 2. So in episode 2, we had Shen explaining the appearance change because of the 80-20 contract. We had Shen revealing herself to be a Japanophile because of all the dramas that she was watching. We get the demiplane stuff, which establishes the city, or you know, city building. It's what brings in the city building angle. We have Emma meeting up with the team. We have the orcs segment where it ends in everyone moving into the illusory space. We see a Shen fragment for security, and I thought this was really cute because he made a comment about that being Shen's child, and it kind of made them look like a little family unit, but it's just a fragment. We then see the MC practicing magic, and we have Shen being really pushy with Buddy Guy being the master of the domain and all that. We have the stuff with memory watching that leads into Shen wanting to like make up a TV or something like that. Then we get Buddy Guy setting a goal for himself, being that he wants to retrace the steps that his parents took through the world. We have a power demo for Makoto and his Kai. I believe it might be called something else in the manga. But I just want to make a note. When it came to the powers, I think it was more fleshed out than I expected it would be, and I really appreciated that. We then get the spider attack, including Shen's history with the spider, and as it turns out, the spider is a glutton for punishment. We then get Edgemood MC, where he's like, oh my, or not, I shouldn't say oh my god, he's like, you dare take my blood? He gets angry and all that kind of stuff. Okay, this is me being an old, cranky old man, but I thought it was kind of goofy. I think it's just the anime's execution of it. It just made him look like, it just made him look kind of goofy. I hope it's not actually like some kind of an out of control rage mode. I hope it's just him getting annoyed, because like if he got annoyed, I totally respect that. He was being chomped on by a spider. He has every right to be annoyed. It's just like the way the anime presented it. It just made it look come on. It felt a little bit goofy. We then have, but again, personal opinion. That's personal taste. We then have the spider loving him. I'm really not clear on what it is that the spider likes. I assume the spider likes the pain, the blood, and the magic. I assume that's what she's eating. And then we have pretty much the second party acquisition when we look at the end of the episode. So when it comes to the second episode, I think it's interesting because you're learning a lot of different mechanisms. This is where they're showing you how some things in the world work. For instance, you have the contract mechanism. The contract is what allows the girls to take the form they take, specifically that of one more compatible with the master. That's really interesting because, as it turns out, that becomes something that Shen uses with the spider at the end of the episode. I think that was really worthwhile. We also have like just mechanisms on magic when you have Makoto working on his magic, and then you also have Shen giving you the quick rundown on what Makoto was doing when he entered mini rage mode. Any other mechanism? Oh yeah, no, and when it comes to what you see in the episode, you do get the whole mist world, or the demiplane. You get the demiplane mechanism. You learn that the demiplane has been shifted because of the contract, and with the demiplane, what's interesting is that is such a massive plot device. The demiplane is what allows for town building to happen. So in this situation, what's going on here is that not only are you taking advantage of Makoto's overpoweredness, but you're taking advantage of Shen's overpoweredness in order to facilitate the demiplane town building angle. What was interesting here is that because they're in a wasteland, being able to bring in an area that is bountiful and fertile, that is a game changer for the wasteland area. And what that provokes is that people are going to be more willing to just come to the fertile lands. So this is actually a really interesting way of acquiring people, because now you're giving them a real benefit and you're able to fight the idea of the setting being a wasteland. Also, like, you kind of cheat a little bit because you're not now dealing with wasteland survival, and you're now not dealing with the harshness of wasteland survival. You're now dealing with this guy is, he's able to actually make a difference in the lives of people. So this episode 2, I think, is an episode that's strong with mechanism explanation, and I think when it ultimately comes to the mist, you have to appreciate how effective of a plot device that is. I think that's the most respectful way to say it. Other things, like when you look at the episode, what did we do? We had town building, we had travel, and we had the acquisition of a party member, and magic exposition. So really, it's also quite a robust episode. We're covering quite a lot of different things. In terms of like any kind of climax, it would have been the spider fight, and the spider fight itself, I think, was funny overall. It connected to Makoto well. You had the you had the dwarf being chased, and then Makoto's blood drawing it in, and that kind of foreshadowed that she was gonna like his blood and all that. I think that was really well set up for this stage in the game. And let's see, yeah, my other note was just the stuff with the magic and the rage mode. That was all right. Another point for episode 2 is that episode 2 is the character flesh out episode, and we don't really get a character flesh out for Makoto. The character flesh outs are coming specifically for Shen and the spider, right? With Shen, you get a sense of her. She's very into the historical dramas. She's very into the idea of Makoto being the master. She's very into the idea of kind of doing things for Makoto's sake. And with the spider, extreme masochist. That's going to be an interesting dynamic to see later. We know that this dynamic works in other anime. We had one in Arifureta, who was a dragon masochist, and then we had Darkness from Konosuba. Like, this mechanism, this character archetype is funny to watch, so it'll be really hilarious to see her do stuff in the future. Do I have anything else to really say for the episodes? No, just overall, they're both light affairs, and they're easy enough to follow along with. There's not any particular segment that I'm thinking like I need to slow down the episode or just rewatch to understand. Another point, I guess, since we're talking about characters, another point would be to talk about Makoto here. Makoto in this one comes up with his goal, that being that he wants to just understand his parents more. That was legitimately neat. What you're seeing there is pretty much self-driven. This is probably more a character-driven story. And in the background, you have like the things with how much of a dick the goddess is. But yeah, I'm actually with the idea of people from an isekai going into the other world, into the real world. Yeah, I am kind of interested in what might have led them to want to do that. So I think that was ultimately a good goal, but it does make a pretty big statement for the show, saying that this show is going to be about what Makoto wants to do at the end of the day. Any other things worth saying out loud? No, I don't got any more thoughts. Overall, I'm enjoying Tsukimichi. Okay, I'm enjoying Moonlit Fantasy. It's been a fun time. Keep an eye out for any bonus content, and as I get more familiar with the series, I'll be able to talk about it more and talk about the things they're doing. Yeah, overall, solid episode. Let me know what you thought down below, and until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.